He's set great store by the fact that he's going to end the war in Ukraine and that he's going to get Russia to the table. And of course, it would be highly embarrassing for Trump if he's not able to do that. If Putin leads him by the nose, he won't want to be a loser.
Donald Trump's envoy man called Steve Witkoff met President Putin last night, although apparently there's some doubt whether that meeting actually took place. The Associate Fellow at Chatham House, Jamie Shea, is the former Deputy Assistant Secretary General at NATO, and he joins us now. Welcome to the show, Jamie.
Hi there, Ed. Good morning.
Very good to speak to you again. Do you know if this meeting actually took place between Steve Witkoff and the President?
No, I don't, but I imagine that Putin would see Witkoff because he is the sort of the trusted man of Donald Trump. He's the special envoy for virtually everything, not just the Middle East where he started out. And I think it would be a bit of a snub for Trump, which I think Putin wants to avoid at this present time, not to see Witkoff. So I imagine he'll be in Moscow for most of the day, and I expect that at some stage he will get to see Putin.
I think the meeting did actually take place. I'm reliably informed. But, I mean, it does seem to me that Zelensky is right, that Putin is playing for time. He's not serious about a ceasefire. And my view is that this won't affect Trump at all. I don't think Trump is going to come down hard on Putin at all.
Well, Trump has made more noises recently, Ed, as you know, about imposing sanctions on Russia if Russia doesn't come to the table and play ball. He's evoked the possibility of more US moves to curb Russian oil sales. And of course, that would be really the decisive blow against Putin's war chest in Ukraine. Although, of course, like any sanction, it would take some time to kick in. And Trump would need to assemble a wide international coalition. Is he able to do that? To implement that kind of oil embargo. But on the other hand, today in the United States, Russian banks' access to the American financial markets for oil sales come to an end. Trump has not spoken about renewing that. So that's a little sign that he's willing to up the ante because, of course, he's set great store by the fact that he's going to end the war in Ukraine and that he's going to get Russia to the table. And of course, it would be highly embarrassing for Trump if he's not able to do that. If Putin leads him by the nose, he won't want to be a loser. So I wouldn't discard entirely Trump's ability suddenly to sort of change sides, as it were, and put more pressure on Russia, because clearly that's what he's going to have to do. Putin doesn't seem to be willing to have a ceasefire at the present time, while he thinks that he's winning the war on the ground.
So let's drill down into your expertise, having been Deputy Assistant Secretary General at NATO. Mark Rutte recently went over to Washington and met President Trump. Is it serious when Poland says it wants American nuclear weapons on Polish territory? Surely that is not a goer.
Well, Poland has been asking for these for some time, so it's not new. And what NATO has is a number of so-called tactical nuclear weapons in Europe, essentially bombs dropped by fighter jets, and they're based in 5 countries, including Germany, which is the neighbour of Poland. And what NATO has done in recent exercises is move those planes, and therefore potentially the ability to move the nuclear weapons, to other locations, including Poland, in a sort of crisis situation, just to show that these weapons are protecting the whole of NATO. So that gives Poland some kind of protection without actually needing to have nuclear weapons on its territory. The fact of the matter is that all NATO countries are covered by the nuclear guarantee provided by the US and the UK. Whether they have nuclear weapons on their territory or not, the guarantee still applies. And as long as the United States makes it clear that it's upholding that guarantee, there's no real sort of military need, apart from reassuring the Poles politically, for the nuclear weapons to be based in Poland. They're next door in Germany and in other countries. And of course, it would be expensive to build the sites, the protection facilities, the airfields, the storage for the planes and all of those kind of things. And is that the best use of NATO's collective funds at the present time when there are so many gaps in armies and military equipment to fill? But the Poles obviously feel very nervous with what's been going on in Ukraine. Recent developments have not made them any less nervous, that's clear, and so they'll continue to push for this move. But so far, the United States has not wanted to follow suit.
And Jamie, what are your former colleagues in NATO saying? How's morale given the events of the last few weeks?
Well, obviously it can't be brilliant at the present time, but the problem is that we have different messages on different days. You know, on Monday you might have President Trump questioning the American commitment to the Article 5 security guarantee. On a Tuesday you'll have Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, or the new U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Matthew Whitaker, testifying before the Senate saying the U.S. guarantee is ironclad. One day you hear rumors from Washington about the United States no longer participating in NATO exercises or withdrawing troops. The next day, a senior U.S. commander will say, no, everything is going ahead. We're planning exercises. So it's a bit of a Russian roulette. And I suppose at NATO, you just need very strong and steely nerves. But it's good, you mentioned this, that the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte was in Washington yesterday in the Oval Office. The atmospherics, seem to be good. Trump praised him. He praised Trump. Trump didn't make any noises about pulling forces out. Rutte has been persuading him that the Europeans really are spending more money on defense, which is what Trump wants. So I would imagine that the Europeans are hoping that clever diplomacy by Rutte and other European leaders can show Trump, if you like, the glass half full and take him away from this view that the glass is half empty.
Brilliant. Jamie Shea, Associate Fellow at Chatham House and a former Deputy Assistant Secretary General at NATO. Thanks for coming on the show. And, of course, you can hear more about this story across the day on Times Radio.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be with a friend of mine who was Prime Minister of the Netherlands. I got to know him very well. We had a great relationship always. At this moment, we have people talking in Russia. We have representatives over there, Steve Witkoff and others. And they're in very serious discussions. As you know, Ukraine has agreed, subject to this, what's happening today, to a complete ceasefire, and we hope Russia will do the same. The billions of dollars is being spent and really wasted so unnecessarily. It should have never happened. We know where we are with Ukraine, and we are getting good signals outside of Russia as to where we are with Russia. And hopefully they'll do the right thing. It's really humanity. We're talking about humanity. We're not talking about the money. But then you add the money to it, and hundreds of billions of dollars is being spent and really wasted so unnecessarily. It should have never happened. He was a great Prime Minister of the Netherlands. He did a great job, and that's what he's doing right now. So thank you. Well, we'd like to see a ceasefire from Russia, and we have not been working in the dark. We've been discussing with Ukraine land and pieces of land that would be kept and lost and all of the other elements of a final agreement. There's a power plant involved, a very big power plant involved. Who's going to get the power plant and who's going to get this and that? And so, it's not an easy process. The governor, and we have Chris, supposed to be the most talented man in the world of energy, according. No, he put out a very promising statement, but it wasn't complete. And yeah, I'd love to meet with him or talk to him. But we have to get it over with fast. Every day people are being killed. It's not like, as we sit here, 2 people will be killed. Think of it. We don't need anything that they get. We do it because we want to be helpful, but.
Mr. President, some of our allies have said that they're worried that they could be the next to be attacked by Russia. You've spoken directly with the Russian president.
Yeah.
Do you think those fears are justified?
No, I don't. I think when this gets done, it's done. They're going to all want to go home and rest. I don't see it happening. Nope, I don't see that happening. And we'll make sure it doesn't happen. Not going to happen, but we'll make sure it doesn't happen.
The Germans now have potentially up to $500 billion extra in defense spending. And then, of course, you had Keir Starmer here, the British